Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom, shalom. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Trumpet's Call. I'm AmarYaH. I pray that you are holding on to faith, amunah, and holding on to hope, tukua, during these times. And boy, do we need to hold on. All praises to the Most High. Welcome back to another session of our Sista Chat and our ongoing series, Uncluttering Our Lives. On last week, we discussed uncluttering our finances, and we talked about the Great Reset. Today, we're going to continue our discussion about uncluttering our finances and things that we can do to help mitigate against the things that currently are and the things that will be. And if you watched the video from last week, you will learn that the things that are happening around us are not an accident. These things are not just happening randomly. They're happening because they have been predicted, scripted, and they're being controlled, and they're being contrived. They're being created. And so we need to do our due diligence to be aware, first of all, of what's going on around us, prayerful and watchful. And then we need to do the best we can to live in community. There are some things, some helpful tips and hints that we're going to talk about to try to help mitigate against these things and to help unclutter our finances. But be that as it may, whatever we do, we know that we must depend on the Most High Yahuwah to see us through. We must. And so we're going to begin today reading an article from Armstrong Economics entitled Vietnam Erases 86 Million Accounts, The Great Reset in Motion. And it's written by Martin Armstrong. And it reads, Vietnam has erased and or frozen 86 million unverified bank accounts as the nation surrenders to the globalist Great Reset. Anyone wishing to function in society must surrender their biometric data to maintain a bank account. The State Bank of Vietnam, the SBV, claims that the measure was a system cleanup aimed at preventing fraud. In actuality, the measure is one step closer toward a national ID system that enables the government to control its citizens' every move. So pausing here, as you all know, the United States has instituted the Real ID system here in the United States. In order to travel via airline, everyone was required to have it. It's the new system of identification in every state. There is now going to be a digital version of this Real ID that is attached and associated with your Google Wallet, your Samsung Wallet, or your Apple Wallet. So the TSA will allow those in certain states, about 23 to 25 states so far have been approved, to allow their citizens to connect their physical driver's license and their passports with their phones. And they would upload this digital form of identification into their phones. And that is why Apple, Google, and Samsung are referring to these things as wallets. So the cell phone then becomes the interface. And we've known for a long time that the cell phones, these quote-unquote smartphones, were an interface for digital identification or digital tracking. It's been happening for a while now. It probably won't be long before the other states follow suit. And before you know it, the whole of the United States will have digital IDs. And you'll have to prove your identity using your smartphone. But what if you choose not to opt in? What if you don't have a smartphone and you don't desire to have a smartphone? Will there be exceptions in those situations and circumstances? Once again, by little and little, we have been being marched toward this reset system and toward this one world system, by little and little. And so these incremental changes that they've been making in our lives have made it really acceptable to a lot of people. Everything is tied to our smartphones. There's digital everything, okay? And so because we become so accustomed to doing everything on our phone, it will be very convenient when people are offered the opportunity to even ditch the phone and have whatever information that's in their phone be inserted into their bodies. and all of their banking and all their biometric data won't be external and subject to hacking. The data will be internal. And so the interface, instead of being an external cell phone, the interface will be inside the person. And then instead of the phone being scannable, the person will be scannable. This is where we're headed. So we're going to continue to talk about these things. We're reading this article. We're going to read another article after this one to show that these things are not just in other countries, they're here. And people are silent about them. We don't talk about them much because they are being rolled out in a very incremental way. But they're still here. Let's continue on. This is a data cleansing revolution, said Pham Antoine, director of the payment department. While the total number of bank accounts remains 200 million, by September 2025, once the legal framework is complete, all accounts without biometric data will be closed to prevent scams and fraud. After 7 years of promoting non-cash payments, we are moving toward real efficiency. So what we see happening in Vietnam is that bank accounts of individuals, of citizens, are being closed if they're not linked with biometric data, okay? An iris scan or a fingerprint or a picture or a vein scan or some other form of invasive identification. Now, last time I checked, in order to set up and establish a bank account, you needed ID, you needed to show up in person, and you needed some money to put in the bank. And now the bank accounts are becoming something other. And there's a control structure in place for just about everything that human beings involve themselves in. There's a means of control. I know it's your money, and I know this is a bank, and I know we're here to serve you, but here, let us first control you. Before we allow you to have access to banking, and before we allow you to have access to your own money, we're going to require you to provide information about yourself that we know you'd rather not share, but we're going to force you and say that if you don't share this information, you can't bank. And it is very difficult, brothers and sisters, living in this current world without a banking account of some kind, without access to banking. People have been debanked, especially during COVID. People were debanked for posting the wrong things. And so there's got to be an additional system that arises. And so people have been using other things and other means. But even those means are coming up under the control of those who are gobbling up smaller banks, gobbling up apps like Cash App and Venmo and things like that. And everything is becoming centralized. So you might ask yourself, do we have anything like that here in the United States? Is it required to have biometric data associated with your account in order to have a bank account? We're going to talk about that in just a bit. You'll be surprised at the things that are happening incrementally. One of the things that we just read is that before Vietnam came out with this heavy-handed move of we're going to cancel your bank account unless you prove biometrically who you are, they were promoting non-cash payments. For years, for 7 years, they were saying, pay with your credit card, pay with your debit card, don't use cash. So they were shying away from cash before they brought this requirement for biometric data. And what do we see happening in the United States? It has been happening for some time. A move away from cash. It's all part of the agenda. It's all part of the plan. But thank the Father that He has given us eyes to see and ears to hear, and wisdom in how to respond. So let's continue. Vietnam recently implemented a nationwide digital ID or EID system called the VN EID that requires both citizens and foreign residents to surrender to the matrix and permit the government to store their personal information in a centralized database. Fingerprints, facial biometric data, photographs, passports, nationality, criminal records, and even medical records will be stored in the government database. Participation is not optional. As we read about things like this happening around the world, it helps us to prepare. It helps us to know what to look for. Okay. So, have you thought about what you would do if you did not have a bank account to depend on? I think we all need to be thinking along those lines. If we have vowed to the Most High that we will not participate in a system that will not allow us to buy or sell unless we kowtow to the beast system, if we have already made those vows before the Most High, we have to think to ourselves, how will I live in the world without participating in their system? We at least need to be thinking about it. Bartering is going to be needful. So, as you are putting aside your supplies, make sure that you have things that other people may want so that you can barter for things that you may need. So, let's continue. Project 06, launched in January 2022, hailed as a technological revolution to digitize the country. Project 06's full name is the Project on Developing Data Applications on Population Identification and Electronic Authentication to serve national digital transformation in the 2022 to 2025 period, or Vision 2030. That is a very long title. I'm glad they called it Project 06. That's a very long title. Okay, so Vision 2030, there's that reference to 2030 again, and this is linked to electronic authentication to serve the national digital transformation. So something is happening here. Something is being transformed in Vietnam. And it's not just Vietnam. Vietnam is doing what they need to do to prepare for what's coming. As we learned when we discussed the Great Reset on last week, participation is not voluntary. It's mandatory. Every country must participate. And it seems as if Vietnam is doing their due diligence to be prepared. Continuing, which aligns entirely with the World Economic Forum's plans for the Great Reset. The concept has been sold to the people as a convenience measure, but in truth, the aim is centralized, unrestrained control over the entire population. And this is what we have been told, and this is what the scripture has been telling us for quite some time. And as I said last week, it's here. It's been here. And I think, brothers and sisters, the thing that has been catching a lot of people by surprise is just this idea that we thought it would come all at once. Aha, here it is. One world government. Aha, here it is. You can't buy or sell without participating in this system. Many of us thought it would happen just all at once, but it's been being rolled out by little and little. And it reminds me of the analogy of the frog in the pot. If you put a frog in a pot of hot water, he's going to jump out of that pot because the water's hot. It's burning him. But if you put that frog in a pot on the stove when the water's cold and then turn on the burner, and the frog slowly acclimates to the water as it gets warmer and warmer and warmer, before he knows it, he's being cooked and he doesn't even know it. And this is what's been happening with regard to this GR, this Great Reset. It's been happening and being unfolded by little and little. And trust and believe, brothers and sisters, it didn't just start in 2020. It didn't just start then. This has been an agenda that's been in play for a long time. So long that the Most High told us about it in the scripture. This is an ancient script of world domination. And so, those bad actors and bad players are playing their part. And we, as the sons and daughters of righteousness, have to play our part and stay out of their system. Hallelujah. Let's continue. Everything from banking to renting an apartment is linked to the digital ID. One wrong move and the government can completely erase someone from the system. One glitch in the power grid and the nation will come to a standstill. the Vietnamese government has the power to halt a person's life instantaneously. That's power. That's human power. It doesn't trump the Most High's power, but that's human power. And so, under this system, unless you rack up your social credit score really high, unless you make sure you don't jaywalk, you don't litter, you do what you're told, you don't get on social media and speak against certain people in authority, and you make sure that you don't go over your carbon footprint limits for the week or month or year, then you'll be allowed to participate in the system. And you may even qualify for government subsidies, as one of the things that's being proposed is to give every citizen a wage. Governments of the world would give every citizen a certain amount of money per week, every 2 weeks, or month, so that they can use that money to subsist or to live on. These things are being talked about as well. Let's continue. Globalist entities defy democracy and demand the complete surrender of national sovereignty under the belief that the world population must be controlled by one centralized force. The majority of world leaders have willingly surrendered, unaware of the full extent of power a small unelected few will yield if the Great Reset succeeds. And we know who that small few are, those who have desired to put themselves at the top of the pyramid and rule over the world. Esau Edom is behind this. This has been an agenda for a long time. And as I mentioned before, it's an old script. It's very old. But the Most High has already told us what the future is and what the future holds for Esau Edom. And so while we wait, we don't wait in fear. We wait prepared. We wait guided by the Most High. We wait having stocked up like Abba told us to stock up. We wait being wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Our deliverance is on the way, and our redemption draws nigh. But we must prepare. We must do our part as well. We're now going to read this article entitled Biometrics in Banking, the Future of Secure Transactions, and it was written in May of 2024. It begins, the financial sector is at a crucial crossroads as we navigate an era marked by rapid technological advancements and shifting consumer expectations. Traditional authentication methods, passwords, PINs, and even physical tokens are becoming increasingly vulnerable to sophisticated cyber attacks. So this article begins, it's as if it's being addressed to the banker or the banking professionals, saying, you're going to have to make some changes because the traditional methods of authentication and protecting the consumer against fraud is fraught with danger. Passwords can be stolen, PINs can be guessed, physical tokens can be hacked. There is a vulnerability in the system. And so they're saying that there's a need to change the system. Skipping down to the third paragraph, it says, for banking executives and finance CEOs, understanding the nuances of biometrics, its opportunities, and its challenges is vital for staying ahead of the curve. This guide dives into the innovative world of biometrics and banking, critical insights into its practical applications, the obstacles, and what the future could hold for this game-changing science. They call it a science. Let's see what they have to say about this game-changing science. Continuing. Why biometrics? Biometrics is the utilization of unique biological traits for identification. These are unique identifiers, far more reliable than a password or PIN, be it fingerprints, voice recognition, or iris scans. With increasing digital transactions, including high-value trades and transfers, the need for impenetrable security is at its zenith. That's where biometrics step in. Types of biometrics. Fingerprint scans, the most ubiquitous form of biometric authentication. Fingerprint scans are now standard features even in entry-level smartphones. Facial recognition. Apps now allow corporate clients to approve transactions using facial recognition software, which cross-references a pre-recorded image for verification. Voice recognition. Companies like Barclays use voice recognition as a form of two-factor authentication, recording a customer's voice pattern and verifying transactions over the phone. Behavioral biometrics. This involves studying patterns in behavior, such as keyboard strokes or mouse movements, to detect fraudulent activity, and it's gaining ground as a nuanced form of security. Now, this one is very different. The others, of course, we've heard of before, but behavioral biometrics, which means that as you're sitting at your keyboard, moving your fingers around on the keyboard, moving your mouse, the way in which you move is being studied so that they can then determine whether or not it's you who's at the other end of the keyboard making these transactions. I don't think I want to be studied that much. Do you? Let's continue. Biometrics in today's digital banking applications, mobile banking apps. The trend for using biometric verification methods like fingerprint and Face ID started with smartphones, and it was a natural progression to include these in mobile banking apps. Logging into your account is as easy as glancing at your phone for a quick fingerprint scan. Millions of transactions occur through mobile banking apps daily, so biometric authentication's secure and seamless nature offers immense value. ATMs. New age ATMs equipped with biometric scanners offers enhanced security features. In countries like Japan and India, fingerprint and palm vein recognition technologies are already operational. These mechanisms significantly reduce the risk of unauthorized withdrawals and offer higher personal security. It's really interesting how, in order to protect ourselves from being hacked or from having someone come in and try to take away from us that which belongs to us, we, the citizens, have to lose privacy, have to be violated in such a way. It's really interesting and not so fun. Continuing. Online payments. This two-factor authentication often involves receiving a code via SMS that you have to input for a transaction to go through. However, adding a biometric verification step has made the process even more secure. For example, specific platforms allow users to approve payments via facial recognition scan that matches the biometric data that they have on file. Identity verification for account opening. Some banks have taken the digital-first approach to a new level by employing biometric identity verification for new account openings. In this case, facial recognition technology compares the applicant's real-time image to the one in a provided official document, such as a passport or driver's license, to ensure that they match. Fraud detection. Advanced biometric systems go beyond static physical characteristics and incorporate behavioral biometrics like typing rhythm, device interaction patterns, and even mouse movements to build a comprehensive user profile. These profiles can flag irregularities in user behavior, thus acting as a proactive fraud detection mechanism. Once again, all of these means and methods of trying to protect the populace, of trying to protect people from fraud, it feels very invasive. And I know we don't desire to be studied in such a way. We don't desire to be hamsters on a wheel whose movements are being watched and tracked and traced so that we can then be determined to be ourselves. Okay? But this is what's happening around us, whether we want it to or not. Implementation challenges, data privacy concerns. One of the most pressing challenges is addressing data privacy issues. Biometric data is extremely sensitive and can't be changed like a password. If there's a data breach, the ramifications can be disastrous. User experience and acceptance. Biometrics can be seen as intrusive by some. Yes, causing reluctance to adopt. Banks must educate their customers on the security benefits while also providing alternative authentication methods to ease the transition. And I wonder if the alternative authentication methods used to ease the transition will continue to be used once the transition has been made. So while we don't see exactly what we saw in Vietnam happening here, we do see the beginnings of it. Okay, we do see that, and perhaps more than the beginnings. Maybe we're a little bit further down the road than we realize. The road ahead. The question isn't whether biometrics will dominate the future of banking security, but how quickly the transition will occur. And there you go. There you go. So the question isn't whether or not it will dominate. They're saying it certainly will dominate. The question is how quickly. So we're being told here, you're not going to have an option, you're not going to have a choice. Biometrics will dominate the future of banking. So essentially, get used to that. As machine learning and AI algorithms become more sophisticated, the scope of what biometrics can achieve is widening at an exhilarating pace. Not only does it offer a more secure method for transactions, but it also provides customers with a streamlined, personalized experience. Machine learning and AI involved in your biometric data. We're going to be monitored at every turn, and privacy, such as it was, would be dead, for sure. Final thoughts. Biometrics isn't just a shiny new toy for the banking industry. It's fast becoming the linchpin of traditional security. While challenges remain, particularly around privacy and implementation, the case for biometrics is overwhelmingly strong. For any executive in the banking sector keen on staying ahead, understanding and leveraging biometric technologies is not just advisable, it's imperative. It's the bedrock upon which the future of secure transactions will be built. This is very emphatic. This is a very emphatic statement. And so this is the future. This is what we're being told in this article. This is the future of banking. The future of banking is biometric data being used. You're going to be tracked and traced in ways that you haven't even dreamed of. And this is just in addition to all the other ways that we're being tracked and traced. I don't want someone scanning my iris or looking at my vein prints or having copies of my palm prints or my fingerprints or watching the way I walk or the way that I type on a keyboard. It's invasive. But this is the future of banking. So once again, we must ask ourselves, what do we do when the banks aren't available to us? So we're going to talk about these things as we continue on talking about what we can do to get ahead of and respond to the things that are happening in the world. We've been talking about last week and this week, we've been talking about the Great Reset. We've been talking about the things that have been planned for millennia. We've been talking about the slow rollout and the incremental nature of getting people used to living in a world where everything that they do is tracked and traced, where there are cameras on every street corner, where everything that you think can be monitored. There's that technology as well. They have been doing this by little and little, as I said. And so now that we realize to a greater degree what we're up against and what is happening to this world around us, how do we prepare? First, we know that we have to prepare in prayer. We have to ask the Father what to do and how to do it, and how He wants us to live in this world, how He wants us to come out of its systems, and how He intends to provide for us outside of the systems of Babylon. That is a certainty. We must do that. But in addition to that, what things can we employ now to help us now and then as we are preparing to live outside of the Babylonian one world system? We're going to talk about that right now. What can you do? What can you do right now? What can we do as a mashpachah? Mashpachah in Hebrew means family. What can we do to support one another during this time? Let's talk about it. We're going to try to look at the positive aspect of the things that are happening and to determine what we can do to unclutter our finances so that we can survive the coming onslaught. Okay. Here on the screen, you'll see some information about something called Contact 211. And it reads, millions of people in the United States experience food, housing, and financial insecurity every year. Whether you need help paying one bill or many, or are looking for information to help someone else, you are not alone. Your local 211 agency has the most up-to-date information about local assistance that may be available to you. If you prefer to talk to someone, you can always call 211 to get connected to a local specialist. Simply call 211 from a cell phone or a landline to speak to a live, highly trained service professional. If you prefer to text, chat online, or search your local 211 online database, find your local 211's other contact information there. So, this is a resource and a reference for you if you need to talk to someone, if you need help in any way paying a bill or anything of that nature. 211 is where you would call to see what resources may be available in your area and where you can seek help. So make note of that. 211. Okay? So we're going to be talking about decluttering our finances. And in some ways, our finances may be cluttered because of personal choices that we've made, mistakes that we may have made in the past, and also the things that we're going through and that we discussed last week regarding the GR, the Great Reset. Okay, so whatever the reason is for the cluttering of our finances, we have to do the best we can to unclutter them so that we can be in a better position to survive the coming storm. Okay, so here's some things we're going to discuss about how we can seek to declutter our finances. First thing on the list, stop. So we're going to describe these things in terms of stops and starts, okay? So first thing, stop shopping for unnecessary items. And I say that not to be insulting or offensive in any way. I say that to say that we have become a consumer-based society, and we shop as a pastime. We shop as a hobby. We shop for things that we don't need because we can, because we're bored. We have to stop doing that. We have to stop shopping for entertainment and start shopping only when we have a need. We have to look to repurpose things. Look to see how you can repurpose certain things instead of purchasing something else. For example, if an item that you purchase comes in a cotton sack, perhaps you can save that cotton sack, wash it, and use it to store your flour or your rice in rather than buying a bag for that purpose or a storage container for that purpose. So we have to start thinking outside the box about ways that we can repurpose items to save money. This is what we need to be thinking. So shopping for unnecessary items has to be something that we cease and desist. Number 2, stop unnecessary subscriptions. Now I know we discussed on last week that subscriptions seem to be everywhere. They're everywhere. But we need to cease and desist unnecessary subscriptions. I will tell you that I have the latest model, the latest version of Microsoft Word where I actually still own the software. Until this stops functioning, that's what I will use. If you are subscribed to Hulu, or if you're subscribed to Disney Plus, or if you're subscribed to ESPN, if you're subscribed to all of these streaming services, if you're subscribed to iTunes, if you're subscribed to things that are not necessary, that you don't have to have it, yes, I know, it's a convenience. Cancel them. If you're subscribed to online journals and you don't read them, you don't need them, cancel unnecessary subscriptions. That's going to be a savings. Another stop. Stop eating out. The food's not good anyway, right? It's got seed oils, it's got fat that you don't need, it's got too much salt. Stop eating out. Now, if you want to treat yourself every now and then and eat out, that's between you and the Most High. But my recommendation right here, right now, is to say, stop eating out and start cooking at home more and more. Yes, I know it's a burden, but it's a worthy burden because you tend to eat healthier when you cook your own food, okay? Another thing that you could stop doing in order to save money, stop entertaining yourself. Meaning, if you are subscribed to, for example, Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or one of those things, stopping the subscription is going to be helpful and handy. But even if you're just purchasing movies on Amazon Prime because you want to see some new show and you're willing to spend $10, $12 or $5, $10 for the privilege of watching the show, stop entertaining yourself. Because if you choose not to entertain yourself in that way, that's going to be money that's available for something more needful, okay? The manicures, the pedicures, the massages, the hairstylists, those are all things that cost money. Where possible, cut back or cease and desist. Learn how to do your own manicure and your own pedicure if you have to do it. Learn how to do your own hair. That's going to be a tremendous savings, okay? If you're a man, learn how to cut your own hair. It's possible. It can be done. For some of you, it may be stop driving your car every day and take the bus or the train if you have the option to do that. That's going to be a savings for gas. Okay, so that might be something that you want to look into if you have that available to you, if you live in an urban area. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the things that you should begin doing. So first on the list is start almsgiving. You should be giving to those in need. You should be giving to the poor. You should be giving to charities. However the Father leads you to do it, you should be taking some of your resources and giving it to people who have less than you. Okay? And that could be, like I said, it could be an organization, a charity, or it could be someone that you know, or someone that the Father just lays on your heart, on your ruach, to reach out to with a gift. You should be giving, because if you hold on to what you have, then your fists are clenched and you can't receive what Abba may have for you. And I'm not talking about giving to get. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that the Father, his eyes are always upon those who are giving alms, who are giving to others in need. His eyes are upon those people. Scripture says, he who lends to the poor lends to Yahuwah. Okay, so have your eyes open to see those people around you who may need more help than you do. Another thing that you should start doing is you should start saving if you haven't done so already. Start saving and work on paying off debt. If you have debt, start saving. So take any amount of money, any amount of extra that you have. Perhaps you stop doing mani-pedis. Perhaps you stop getting your hair done. Perhaps you canceled your Hulu or your Netflix and you have a little extra disposable income. Take that money, half of it, save, half of it, start tackling your credit card debts or your student loan debts. Okay? Eventually, they'll get paid off if Abba doesn't come to get us first. Okay? The next thing you can start doing is making your own. We've got to learn how to make our own products. We could learn. It's very possible for some of you to learn how to make your own clothing, to make your own head wraps, to make your own bread. I started making my own bread this year, and it is wonderful. It tastes great. It's good for the body. It's very gratifying. My family loves it, and now I don't have to buy bread from the grocery store. That's a savings, right? So learn how to make things yourself. If you like kefir, learn how to make your own kefir. If you like kombucha, learn how to make your own kombucha. Learn how to make your own vinegar. These things are not hard. And back in the day, our ancestors made these things themselves. We buy many things at the grocery store that we can make ourselves. Sour cream, so easy to make. We can even make our own cheese at home. So let's learn how to start making more of these things ourselves at home, and that's going to be a savings, okay? And you'll get a hobby. It'll be a hobby for you. All praises. Hallelujah. Start couponing. Start looking for coupons for the things that you purchase from the store, and that's going to be a savings. Another thing that you could start doing is you can start shopping local. So instead of going to the grocery store to find the things that you need, maybe there's a market where you are, a farmer's market. And farmer's market prices are going to be a whole lot better than what you would find at the grocery store. And so I encourage you, if you can find local milk, local eggs, local cheese, local fruits and vegetables, shop local. It's going to be better for your health and better for your pocketbook. Another thing that you can start doing is to start your own business. Yes, if employment is difficult, then we should be looking to start our own business. Because Abba placed an idea in your mind and your heart that won't leave you. Inquire, ask him about those things. Are you giving me permission to start a business? And if he hasn't placed anything on your heart yet, ask him, Abba, do you have a business idea for me? Ask him and see what he says. He will provide for your needs according to his riches in glory and kabod through Yahushua HaMashiach. We know that. But what means will he use? Could he possibly make you a business owner yourself? It's possible. So seek his face regarding those things. And finally, share resources. Start bulk shopping. If you don't have a membership at a Costco or a Sam's Club, perhaps you know someone who does. So see if you can go shopping with them and start purchasing things in bulk. That's going to help save some funds. Or if you don't know anyone who's got a Costco or Sam's Club membership, if you know someone, if you have a friend, maybe you two can invest in a membership together. Each of you sharing the cost of the membership and then splitting it, going to shop together and benefiting from the savings that you would have buying in bulk. Okay? And it really does make a difference. Another thing that you could look into is getting a roommate. Do you have an apartment? Do you have a house? Are you living by yourself? Are you shouldering the burden of that place by yourself? Pray about getting a roommate and sharing resources. As I stated in the last video, we're going to need to depend on one another and create little Goshens all around the United States and the world, wherever we are. And these are places where Abba will cover us and protect us and keep us if our ways are pleasing to him, that is. And so perhaps you have space in your home for another. Be in prayer about these things and ask Abba if he desires for you to share your home and get a roommate, that he would bring someone along your path and create a situation where you can bring someone in, share resources, share the responsibilities of home ownership, of taking care of the home, and all of those things. So ask Abba if he would help you. Just remember, males with males and females with females. No co-ed situations there. I don't think Abba would be pleased with that, not unless you're going to get married. All praises to the Most High. So these are some things that you can start doing and stop doing to help declutter your finances, okay? Is this a perfect list? No, it's not. It's not perfect. It's not all-inclusive either. There are likely more things that you already have thought of or that Abba would grant you that you could start and or stop as Abba helps us to manage the things that are happening in the world economically, okay? So seek his face regarding these things and ask him what you can and should be doing to help save money, okay? So one final thing I'd like to talk about before we prepare to end for today is a susu. Have you heard of a susu? Do you know what a susu is? I became aware of a susu a few years ago, and although I haven't participated in one, I like the idea more and more, okay? With the situation being the way it is currently, I think it can be a great thing for those who have people in their lives that they trust and they could share resources together in this way. So I'm going to describe to you what a susu is. For those of you who know what it is, just bear with me, okay? A susu is a savings arrangement where a group of people each pool an equal amount of money for a period of time. It could be a month, it could be for 2 weeks, it could be for a year, it could be for 5 months, whatever, what have you. So you pool money, and after that time period is up, each person gets all that money. So long term, let's say you decide to do this for a year, okay? And then within the year period, every 2 weeks or every week or every month, you pool your resources, your money together, and then each person has an opportunity to receive the full amount of money that's collected, okay? Let me continue to describe it. So you keep doing this until everyone gets their turn and receives the full lump sum at least once. So you may receive it once, twice, 3 times, depending on how long you do this. If you do it for a year, then you'll receive a few times, okay? So this is not a pyramid scheme. No one loses as long as everyone is trustworthy and puts in their share. And that's why this only works if people are trustworthy. You cannot do susu with people that you don't know or your friends don't know. Okay? The people involved in this have to be trustworthy. They have to be, or it won't work. It's just a way to hang on to money by putting or tying it up into something else temporarily. This is popular. This method is popular with people from the Caribbean, South America, Africans, and maybe other people groups as well. Just a way to save money. If you can get a small savings account, it's not a credit union. If you don't want the man all up in your business. So, be that as it may, a susu can be a really wonderful opportunity for many of us. And so let me describe it in better detail. Say, for instance, you have 5 friends, okay? So it's the 5 of you. You're good friends, you know each other, you can trust one another, and you decide to create a susu, okay? And you come together and you say, we're going to allow our susu to be open-ended. We'll decide when we want to end it. But for now, we're just going to pool our resources every 2 weeks. And every 2 weeks, each person in the group, all 5 of us, is going to put forth $200. Okay? So the first week, everybody comes together and they put up their $200. Okay? The very next time it's time for everyone to collect their money, the first person in the group, you decide who, gets the total amount that's been collected. And then you collect another amount. Then it's someone else's turn to collect the full amount. And then you go another 2 weeks. And then it's someone else's turn to collect the full amount until everyone has had at least one chance to collect the total amount of money. And so 200 times 5, that's $1,000. 200 times 5, 5 people, that would be $1,000. So every 2 weeks, one person in the group would be collecting $1,000. And they could save that money, use it for bills, so on and so forth. Okay? So this is a way for you to save in a way that's really smart. This is a great way to circumvent banking. We've talked extensively today about how difficult it is and difficult it will become to bank without the invasion of privacy. With this, the banks are not involved, the credit unions are not involved. It's just friends coming together and investing money in one another, and then each person taking turns recouping the benefits as long as they are in agreement to do so. And the banks are out of it. There's no interest, there's none of those things. So this is a great way to engage in what I call non-traditional non-banking. Okay? You would just have to determine how to collect the money. If you collect cash and you just pay out in cash, you could do that. You can even use PayPal, or you can use, Cash App and have everyone send a particular person the Cash App funds. And then when it's time, that Cash App person that's been designated sends the funds to the other people. So there are a number of ways that you could do this. But the bottom line is that this is a great way for those who are trustworthy to help one another. Because every few weeks, you're going to be getting a lump sum of money. So it's kind of like a savings program. In addition to that, it gives you an opportunity to help be a barakah to other people as you're helping them to pay their bills when they need it paid. Okay? So be in prayer about a susu. And if you know people who have done it, ask them about it. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Do you know of one? Can you recommend one? And so on and so forth. So I recommend that if you desire to do something productive to help yourself, look into that and see if that's something that Abba might be leading you to do. Okay? Bottom line, we have to choose in this day and age to be wise, to have our eyes open, to be thrifty, to save, and to see how we can be of help and support to one another. As I said last week, we must live in community, family. We must support one another and look out for one another. We must keep in contact with others. You shouldn't be a lone wolf out there all by yourself, because lone wolves get picked off. They get picked off by bigger wolves. They get picked off by bigger animals. And so for each of us, we must associate ourselves with some form of community. Somebody who's looking out for your soul, somebody who's looking out for your pocketbook, somebody who's looking out for your back. This is what we need. This is what we need. So there are ministries out there, online ministries. So let the Father lead you. Let him lead you. Let him speak into your heart where he wants you to be and where he wants you to go. And what you hear, follow through on, okay? Don't just hear what I'm saying and then ignore it. It's important that you be connected with others. It's important. And yes, I know, it takes discipline to be in community with others because people get on your nerves. Yes, it happens. But how are you expecting to live once we get back into the land? We have to become accustomed to people getting on our nerves now so that we can endure when we get home. Okay? We're learning endurance now. So, reach out to others. Live in community. Some of you come every week and you comment in the comment section, and you haven't had an opportunity or taken the opportunity to get to know one another. Get to know one another in the chat. Form a community. Find out if someone's living where you live or near where you are. We've got to be diligent about this so that we can be a support to one another. Okay? So Yahuwah be praised, and he will cause us to triumph in the midst of everything that's going on, whatever reset program that's been planned. We know that the Most High will cause their plans to fail. Now, we don't know how much damage they're going to do before the Father brings down the hammer on their hammer, but we know that he will. And we know that he will cause us to be brought back into the land. He will vindicate. He will recompense our enemies upon their heads. And he will claim us once again. He will. He has. We're his people. And assembling yourself together as you see the day approaching is a must, family. Don't forsake assembling yourselves together. It's crucial. We're going to need one another. Hallelujah. All praises to the Most High. Hallelujah. Well, I thank you, brothers and sisters, for joining me once again on the channel and for another session of our Sister Chat. Today's Sister Chat has been the final lesson in our Decluttering Our Lives series, and I pray that it has been a barakah to at least some of you. It has not been the most watched series that I've done. I've noticed that many of you didn't care for the series all that much, and you didn't watch the lessons. And it's oftentimes the things that we really need to hear that we avoid. We all want to hear about what it's going to be like when we go home. We all want to hear about what it's going to be like when Edom gets punished. We all want to hear about those things. But we don't want to hear about how we should live holy and Kadash lives now. And I will tell you, brothers and sisters, if you don't live holy and Kadash lives now, you won't get to see what glory looks like. You won't get to see what the other side looks like, because Abba is watching us to see how we handle ourselves here and now. So it's those very lessons where you go, nah, I don't want to learn how to declutter my life. You need to learn how to declutter your life. We all do. There's some things we have to give up before we can inherit the kingdom. Well, brothers and sisters, thank you for joining me once again on the channel. And I pray that the Most High Yahuwah would baruch and keep you, bless and keep you, and that he would make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, that he would lift up his countenance upon you and grant you shalom, peace in every area of life. And I pray that this system that is emerging, unfolding all around us, with its heavy-handedness, with its authoritarianism, and its degradation of basic human rights and free speech, and all the things that we've become accustomed to in this society, I pray that the Father would grant us wisdom on how to navigate, how to operate, how to learn to be silent when we need to be silent, and not to share too much information about ourselves. As free speech continues to diminish, we need to say less. Hear me well, brothers and sisters. As free speech diminishes, we need to say less. Okay? And when we do speak, we may have to speak in code, right? So let us be wise. Let us be wise. All praises to the Most High. Until next time, brothers and sisters, shalom, shalom.